What's up, guys? This is Kephas, back in the Legion beta. Today we are taking a look at the Windwalker Monk, which I'm really excited about because this class is, quite honestly, a lot of fun. Even though I didn't think it was going to be at first, I thought it was another one of those dumbed down classes, but this class is far from dumbed down. It's really fun to play, but the bad news is that it's really hard to play if you have a hard time keeping track of your action bars because there are a lot of buttons, a lot of cooldowns, and the way that you have to use these buttons now requires a lot of focus. So we'll get into it. I want to thank Pyroxius Gaming for letting me know that you can create a level 110 character on PvP server, which I've done here. So we have a level 110 Windwalker Monk with the artifact weapon ready to go, and we are here in Ironforge at a target dummy because for some reason it won't let me go anywhere else. Which is whatever, which is actually fine because with this class I really can't pay attention to what's going on the screen and do this rotation at the same time. So in this example it's fine for me just to chill in front of a target dummy and we'll see what happens. So basically this rotation is really simple to understand, but it's not going to be the easiest thing to do in practice, mainly if you're someone who has a hard time focusing on a lot of different abilities. But that is definitely the nature of what it's like to be a Kung Fu person. Trust me, I know from experience. And this definitely feels very martial arty now. But they've definitely done a good job capturing the feel of this class with the way it's supposed to work now. And we'll get into that. So what you have Tiger Palm, which now generates chi instead of consuming chi. So it generates chi. It's basically the same as what Jab was, but it also can do a couple other things with some talents. So you generate chi with that. Look, see, bam. And then you've got Blackout Kick, which does the same thing as it did before. You just use it. It spends 1 chi instead of 2. And then we have, let's get some more chi up in here. We got Rising Sun Kick, which has almost like a 9.24 second cooldown. Does a bunch of damage, consumes 2 chi, actually hits twice, which is really cool. And it also reduces healing effects on the target for 10 seconds. Okay, so I don't know if that's the same buff that's in live. I haven't played a monk in a while. I don't think it is. It doesn't seem as important as what the buff used to be, but still, it's there. You probably want to hit it whenever it's off cooldown, so probably like that with a lot of abilities. And then we have Fist of Fury, consumes 3 chi, and it does a frontal cone attack. It'll hit all the targets in front of you, does a lot of damage, really fun to do. And that's got a 22-second cooldown. And then you've got Spinning Crane Kick for AoE, consumes 3 chi, and it's your AoE. Now this used to not consume chi. It's also really short too. It used to not consume chi, it used to build chi, and it was what you use for AoE in place of Jab, but now it works a little bit differently. It doesn't have a cooldown though, but basically it hits for 50% increased damage for every target that you've used Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, or Rising Sun Kick on, which means that whenever you're doing AoE, you're going to want to switch around targets and hit them with something to make sure that they get that buff, or they get that increased damage from Spinning Crane Kick. That's how that works. So that's 3 chi. Unfortunately, you don't get the buff from using Fist of Fury, so it won't work that way. You've got to use one of the other abilities. So Blizzard knows what they're doing, making it a little bit more challenging for us. And then there is this new ability that you get. It's called Strike of the Wind Lord. Consumes 2 chi, 40-second cooldown. Strike with both Fists of the Heavens at all enemies in front of you, dealing a bunch of damage and reducing movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. So this attack is what comes with the artifact weapon. You get it, and it does a lot of damage. It's really cool looking. So that's basically all your attacks. Now, you might think, well, that's easy, right? No, it's actually a little bit harder than that because you have a macro, or not a macro, what am I talking about? You have a passive mastery ability called Combo Strikes, and your abilities deal 20% more damage when they are not a repeat of the previous ability, which means that you're going to want to hit a different ability each and every time that you play this, when you do this. So instead of just hitting Jab over and over again, you're going to want to hit Jab and then Blackout Kick, Jab again, and then Rising Sun Kick, Jab again, and then Fist of Fury. Obviously, you don't want to use Jab there because you're wasting chi, but you get the idea. Jab, it's not Jab, it's Tiger Palm. I apologize. I'm used to the way things used to be. Tiger Palm generates 2 chi instead of 1, which is really nice because of how this class plays. So you're going to basically want to do it and then hit a different ability each and every time that you do it. Otherwise, you're not going to get that buff. So that's the challenge of the class. It's really cool. It definitely feels like you're playing a martial arts class, for sure. And you're going to want to, what I think will be the easiest way will be to put a jab in between everything else that you're hitting, unless you're about to run out of chi. But of course that's easier said than done. That's why I was saying this class requires a bit of focus, and it might be a challenge for people who have, you know, maybe a disability or just have a hard time paying attention to a bunch of buttons on an action bar. In terms of macroing, though, with Gnome Sequencer, it will be easy to do in practice because a lot of these abilities have cooldowns, which means that they can be stacked very easily with Gnome Sequencer. If Gnome Sequencer is working, this will be a walk in the park. However, because of the way Blackout Kick is, you know, it could, you know, spend all the chi, leaving none for these other abilities, and because of the way this new like system works, I might have to put Blackout Kick by itself. That way, you can make sure that you're keeping up your combo strikes and you're not wasting a bunch of chi. What is going on with all these crazy boxes? That was nuts. That must be a rogue thing. Is that a rogue? Yeah, it's a rogue. You can always tell it's a rogue because it's always like a gnome. But anyways, so yeah, that's basically how the class works. It's really cool, really fun to do, but it's not the easiest class to play by any means. Now, people that are like super elite pro are going to be, oh, it's so easy. What are you talking about? But I'm talking for people that have a hard time focusing and maybe have an issue with paying attention to action bars, so chill out, okay? Anyways, that's the rotation. Let's go over talents, and we'll try to make it a little bit simpler. I'll show you what you can do, what you can choose. Now, the top one, you've got Chi Burst, which hurls it's basically a Hadouken, hurls a bunch of energy in front of you, 40 yards, dealing a bunch of damage to all enemies, and it also heals all allies that are in front of you, so that's cool. This is the one I'm taking because it's a passive. Tiger Palm also applies Eye of the Tiger, dealing 29,000 nature damage to the enemy and 29,000 healing to the monk over 8 seconds. So it gives you a healing buff, it gives you healing, and it gives the target a bunch more damage. I thought it was an easy way to go. Maybe we'll add some survivability, especially when you're leveling, and it'll also just, you don't have to worry about hitting another button. So that was an obvious choice. And then there's Chi Wave, which is a 15-second... Oh, yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention. This is a 30-second cooldown. This is a 15-second cooldown. A wave of Chi energy flows through friends and foes, dealing a lot of damage and some healing. Bounces up to 7 times to targets within 25 yards. So luckily, it doesn't consume any Chi, but it's another ability that you have to worry about. And so I thought this one would be the way to go. It would be the easiest one to mess with, so that's the one we're going with. It's really nice. You're going to use Tiger Palm anyways. You're definitely going to use it within 8 seconds, so you're going to always have that buff up, so it's no problem. Next one we've got, let's see. This one replaces Roll. It's Chi Torpedo, same as it was before. Just means that you fly forward a bunch and then do some healing, I think. Yeah. Oh, increases your movement speed. Wow, so it has changed by 30% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. So, yeah, you know, your roll has 2 charges, so that's whatever. So it increases your movement speed now. I thought it used to heal. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, it's changed a little bit. Next up is Tiger's Lust, 30-second cooldown. Increases a friendly target's movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds and removes all roots and snares. What I went with is Celerity. Celery? I don't know. Reduces the cooldown of roll by 5 seconds and increases its maximum number of charges by 1. Now that's what it was before, and that's the one I've always liked, and that's the one I went with. So you get 3 charges of roll instead of 2. Seems like what I want. And plus, it's not another ability that you have to worry about, so there's that. Energizing Elixir. It's an instant cast, 1 minute cooldown. Chug an energizing elixir, refilling all your energy and chi. Cool. Good burst, I guess. Ascension, this is what I went with, increases your maximum chi by 1 and your energy regeneration by 15%. So, this is the one I went with. It seemed to go well with the double chi that you get from Tiger Palm. You know, you can have 6 instead of 5. So that was cool. It made it a little bit easier to kind of manage that. And it also regenerates energy 15% faster, which is nice, so I don't feel starved of energy. And then, of course, it's passive, so that was easy. And then the last one, oh, this is another passive. Every 15 seconds, your next Tiger Palm generates 1 additional chi. That's kind of cool. I mean, that's another option that you could go with. Whichever one you want, it's up to you, but these are both passive, so they'll both be pretty easy. I like this one because I like the increased energy regeneration. I really don't feel like I ever max out my chi because of the way this class plays now, but still, it's still nice to have that extra energy regeneration. But I don't know, like, you know, we're not going for min-maxing, we're just going for simplicity. Next up, this is all CC. I went with Dizzying Kicks because it's passive. Blackout Kick reduces the target's movement speed by 70% for 3 seconds. I like that one. That one's pretty straightforward. Of course, there's always the tried and true leg sweep if you want, and then there's Ring of Peace, so whichever one you want. Next up, this is all survivability. I went with Dampen Harm. It's the same as it was before. Diffuse Magic, same thing. Healing Elixir, they put that with this now. It's all survivability, so whichever one you want. You're going to have to take an ability, but it's no big deal. Next up, now this is where we change things up a little bit. You've still got Rushing Jade Wind, which is an AoE. It doesn't replace Spinning Crane Kick now. But what it does do, it's a 5.54 second cooldown, consumes 1 chi, does AoE damage. There's still Invoke Zuin, the White Tiger, 3-minute cooldown. Summon Zuin for 45 seconds. Zuin attacks your primary target and strikes 3 enemies within 10 yards every 1 second with Tiger Lightning for 13,289 nature damage. So there's that. That's what we always used before. But then there's this new one, and this is what I'm going with because, of course, it's a passive and because I like what it does. Each successive attack that triggers combo strikes in a row grants 1% increased damage, stacking up to 10 times. So if you're following your combo strikes the best that you can, this will add increase to even more damage to what you're doing. So this is the one I went with because it's passive and it's awesome. This is like, I guess, the new replacement for Tiger Eye Brew because I hated Tiger Eye Brew. I like this a lot better. So this is kind of cool. And then our new tier, level 100 talents, we've got Chi Orbit, which I will go over here in a second. Every 5 seconds an orb of energy forms and rotates around you until it impacts an enemy, dealing 59,000 damage to all nearby enemies, maximum 4 orbs. That's really cool. That's probably the one that you want to go with for simplicity's sake, and I'll show you how it works here in a second. You can also take this one. This is a really cool ability. And if I use the macros, it'll be easy to macro, no problem. But it has a 22-second cooldown, which isn't a problem because the way it works is it performs a devastating whirling upward strike, dealing 215,000 damage to all nearby enemies, only usable while Fists of Fury and Rising Sun Kick are on cooldown. So you'll want to use Rising Sun Kick, Fists of Fury, and then you can use this to do a bunch of damage, and it's really cool how it works that way. You can't just use it whenever. And it does have a cooldown, but if you use it right after Fist of Fury, every time you really won't have to worry about it. But it's a really cool idea. It's a really cool animation. And then of course there's Serenity, which replaces Storm, Earth, and Fire, which is kind of crazy. It does the same as it did before. It just replaces Storm, Earth, and Fire now. 1.5 minute cooldown. Basically, it means that you won't consume your chi anymore. And you deal 40% increased damage, and healing, which is really cool. And it's a good bursting ability. But of course, I'm going to go with this one for now, Chi Orbit. This is a really cool passive ability that'll just do passive damage. The only thing about it is, as you see, watch, they'll build up. Whenever you have this talent selected, even when you're not in combat, you're going to have these little orbs just kind of circle around you at all times. So if that drives you a little bit crazy, you might not want to use this talent, at least when you're not fighting. I don't really mind it. I think it's kind of cool to run around with them on, actually. But that's that. You know, it's kind of neat, I guess. I don't know if other people can see them or not, but I kind of like it. You know, it's really pretty, and it does a lot of damage. So that's what I went with. That seemed like the easiest rotation for a class that really doesn't have a super easy rotation to follow without macros. But here's how it works. See how much damage those do? That's crazy. And they splash, so they do even more damage. And that one's missing for some reason. There we go. And as you can see, you'll generate a new one every few seconds. So it'll always do damage. You don't have to worry about casting. It's like a free ability. So that's basically how this class plays. So you do Tiger Palm, and then I'll do Rising Sun Kick, and then I'll do Tiger Palm again, and then I'll do a Blackout Kick, and then I'll do Tiger Palm again, and I'll do Fist of Fury, and then we'll wait for that to finish channeling, and then we'll do Tiger Palm again, and then we'll do that new ability, the Wind Lord thing, and then we'll do Tiger Palm, and then we'll do Rising Sun Kick, Tiger Palm, Blackout Kick, Tiger Palm, blackout kick, tiger palm, rising sun kick. See how it works? It's not too difficult. And yeah, that's basically how you want to do it, as opposed to like doing like tiger palm, blackout kick, blackout kick. You don't want to do it that way because you won't keep those combo strikes up, which is the key to getting the most damage out of this class now. So it does have some intuitiveness to doing the rotation, but like I said, if I can get Gnome Sequencer up and running, if it's working, if it's updated, then it shouldn't be a problem. So yes, that is basically how the Windwalker Monk plays, and it's a lot of fun. So people that like classes that have a little bit of a challenge to them, a little bit of a skill involved, and like to manage their action bars and all that good stuff, then this is definitely going to be the class for you. For those of you that have a hard time following that kind of thing, this might not be the class for you. Nevertheless, it is well designed. It is a lot of fun to play. I like it quite a bit. It gets my stamp of approval, and so far it is probably the most enjoyable class that I have played in this expansion. So there you go, guys. That is the Windwalker Monk. Piece of cake, right? Not really, but it's a lot of fun. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful day. This is Kephas. Until next time.